Hey Jeep Gang, welcome back to Why You're In There. So we're gonna get this valve cover on with the valve cover spacer, new grommets, and I made some custom bolts for myself to put my own twist on things, my own touch. We've got to use two gaskets for this with the spacers. But just to show you what I did, I just went to Home Depot and got some quarter-inch 20 threaded rod because that's the size that goes into the cylinder head. And what I did was I had the means because I work in a machine shop, but I made them to a point on the end, and it on a CNC it's super quick and easy. But just to get my own touch and like I don't know, little vampire stake sticking out of the valve cover look kind of cool. Put my own touch on things. But what I was gonna do is I'm making these studs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna twist these all the way down to the bottom out into the cylinder head, and then tighten this one down to 55 inch-pounds, and I'm going to come back with this one and just lock it on top of that one so these things don't have any chance of backing out or anything. Now with that valve cover spacer that I've got, and if you're new to this channel, the reason I got that valve cover spacer is because I've got the Harlan roller rockers on there, and I didn't want to cut the baffle out so they're not, hitting the inside of the valve cover or anything. So I didn't want to cut it out like people do, so I went with the valve cover spacer, which is 5/8 thick. And then the issue with that is, here is your stock bolts, the bolts that came out of there. So what I did is I'm at work. I suppose you could use a hacksaw if you want or something, but these rods came in about 3-foot section, and I measured the length of this. I don't remember the length now because it's been a few weeks since I made these things. And I just made this 5 inches or 5/8 inches longer because that's how thick the valve cover spacer is. And then I think I added another 3/8 of an inch here just so I can get the cool point look on it. So you're going to need some longer bolts because this, when it goes through, it's not going to have enough meat to bite on it. Trying to show you there. It might not. I don't know. But with two gaskets on it, plus the valve cover, plus the grommets, and it's got to go through this also. I don't think it's going to be long enough. So that's why I ended up making my own bolts. And real quick, I'll just show you how they look in the head. They'll look cool once the valve cover is on there, but they're going to be sticking up pretty tall. Yeah, they do come to a sharp point. Not like a needle, but I don't know. I just wanted to give it some kind of an aggressive look. So I think it's going to look cool. Real quick though, if you're following the series, I told you yesterday I was going to show you how to prime the oil pump. Well, I did record it. Well, I thought I recorded it, but it did not. It didn't save or something, or I accidentally hit something. But what you're going to need to do is your distributor has to come out of that hole here, right here, and then way down inside. I'm trying to get the light in there so you can see it good. But that slot right there, that screwdriver slot, that is your oil pump. That's the drive gear, and your distributor fits down into there. So I'll show you I made my own tool. I'll show you what I did, just because I had stuff laying around. But when I started spinning this thing, I had forgotten to put this sensor into the back of the block here, and I didn't have a video on it because I hadn't gotten that far yet. But I believe it's called the knock sensor. Is it the oil pressure? I'm not even sure. But when I started spinning it, and I was spinning at low RPMs, man, the water just comes shooting out of it. It was like a fire hose. And so I had to stop the drill real quick and run back and get that sensor while it was still shooting out. It was a mess. It was spraying all over the place. It builds up pressure pretty quickly when you spin that thing. Now I'll show you the tool that I made to get into there and do that. What this is, it was a hole saw for putting in doorknobs and stuff. And it's pointed on the end, and it has a couple, sharp edges here and here. All I did was grind it down here. I ground that sharp point off, and let me grab the old distributor here. And all I did is I went like this. I didn't measure nothing. I just kind of eyeballed it and used a grinder to make it a little bit smaller than that drive gear on this thing. And that's what I used. I put it on a drill. And this is a critical step. Prime that oil pump. When you're first spinning it, it's going to be like nothing. It's going to be like you're just spinning air. Once that pressure builds up, and it builds up pretty quick, it's going to get a lot tighter, your drill. So I would suggest doing it at slow RPMs on your drill. If you can, if you have, just pull the trigger a little bit so it's not spinning so fast. And I ran it until all of these cups filled up with oil, and I could see everything all the way down the line. These are all getting oil real good. These will fill up all the way to the top, and then they'll start coming out the other side here and running down your springs and valve stems. So, and it doesn't take long. Just you could even do it with a ratchet. And I did go back and I primed it a second time just to be sure I got everything, all air bubbles out. And I actually put a ratchet on the end of this, and I just used the ratchet the second time. But anyway, we're going to get this valve cover and the spacer on there. But just to show you a couple things what I've been doing, making the bolts and explaining why I'm using that valve cover spacer is because of them Harlan roller rockers. But anytime you have this valve cover off, you really should replace the grommets. Every time. That's my philosophy. But these grommets do come with the new valve cover, the gasket rather. And just take them and go around, snap them all in. There'll be little clips on the backside that hold it in place there. So I'm just going to push all these in. And these are not new ones here. These are the old metal spacers, tangs, whatever you want to call them. And all I did was paint them, make them look nice. Make sure all these snap in there well. This one doesn't want to really stay in there. I don't know why. It doesn't look broken. All right, that one's does not want to stay in there. Oh, I don't. Okay, there it goes. Now it's in there. But take a look too on the other side. Make sure there's 3 little tabs on each one of them things. And just make sure that they're coming all the way through. Like there was one that wasn't all the way through. Just keep going around and snapping those in. Make sure they all get in there good. You should have a little click, they'll click into place. And again, I'm just going back and checking, making sure all these little tabs are through. And they're locked in there, and nothing's going to pop out when I'm putting this on there. Alright, I come back with these metal, I don't know what you would call these things. I don't know. Inserts, I don't know. Tangs, what would you call them? Spacer, I don't know. Anyhow, they'll slide right through the holes on them grommets. Make sure if you're going this route, get both of these surfaces clean, the top and the bottom of your spacer. Get the surface of the head clean and dry, and the bottom of this valve cover that's going to sit on the cylinder head. Make sure it's all clean and dry. You want a good seal here. These are real common leaks on these things. That's why I was saying to replace those grommets every time you take this off the cylinder head, because they dry rot. They go bad. All right. So I'm going to leave it sideways like this, just so the weight of the cover isn't pushing these things back up or anything. And just going around and checking, making sure everything's still, the backside of those grommets are locked into place. And there's no chance of them coming back out. Alright, so I'm going to leave this laying here like this. And I'm going to move the camera so you guys can see better. If you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe. This whole series is all about rebuilding the Jeep 4.0. And it's coming out pretty nice. But anyhow, alright, so we're going to go ahead and start putting one of these gaskets on. Shoot, I lost my ladder. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that. Big Jeep, I need my ladder. Okay, so I hope I'm in a shot here, but there's holes in these things, one on each end here. And it's just gonna fit right over. There's a bolt here that has like a dowel pin built into it, and one here. Second one from the back, second one from the front. We'll have those. Okay. No sealer needed for this. I gotta get down. Let me grab the spacer. Now this is gonna go right over your bolt holes. It kind of makes it easier if you make your own studs, because then it will line up perfectly for you. And just slide it right over the bolts there. Or your studs, however you want to say it. Now I got to go grab another gasket. That gasket will only go on one way. And same as before. Alright, when I was playing with this earlier, just because this one is not, the studs aren't long enough to hold this one in place, but I noticed that I kind of had to shove it all the way towards the driver's side for everything to line up well. I'm just eyeballing it, because what I was looking at was, I'll bring the camera over so you don't have, the studs ain't long enough on those cylinder head bolts to come all the way through that. So this could actually be like way over here, which is not good, because then you're going to be caught up in your springs and your valves there. So I'm just bringing it over all the way to the right, all the way, and I'm just bringing it back until I see there's the hole there. It's going to be a different view for you, but I'm eyeballing it and making sure that it's kind of centered over where it would be if it were on those studs. Let me set this back down. But I'm on a ladder, so give me a second here. Okay. So let me go check my alignment on that top gasket again. And watch the front and back and your side to side on this part. You don't want to get the gasket mushing in between those springs. So you got to be careful with this part. And I would even probably, I don't know, I'd be very careful putting the valve cover on, which is what I'm going to do right now, so you're not bumping that and it's moving all around. Wasn't thinking I should have backed these out first. Just a couple of them, because they're a little short. Now when you go to tighten these down, if you're just using RTV, which I don't recommend, you can though. The inch pounds on that when you're tightening bolts down is going to be 28 inch pounds. If you're using the gasket torque pound is Hold on, I got it written on my whiteboard here. I'll turn around and tell you what it is. I forgot already. It is 55 inch-pounds when you're using the gasket. So 28 if you're just using RTV sealer, and 55 inch-pounds when you're doing the gaskets. I don't know how it's going to be with 2 gaskets on there, so I'm going to set it for 55. I think it may take a little more. It depends on the feel. I'm going by feel on tightening these down. It doesn't take a whole lot. 55 inch-pounds is like almost nothing. But I'm just going to go until I know it feels really good. I mean, if 55 is too little, I'll keep going with it. But don't put too much torque on these things, these studs, or your factory bolts, because it's a skinny thread, skinny bolt, and they snap real easy. I've done it before. It sucks. Yeah, it does. It sucks trying to get the broken screw out of the head. So be careful. It doesn't take much to seal these things up. It's not high pressure in here, going against this gasket. It just kind of keeps things from seeping through. All right, so let me grab that valve cover gasket. And all these parts only go out one direction too. So you kind of can't screw it up. You'll see what I mean when you're putting things together in the shape of the head to the shape of the valve cover. You'll see what I'm talking about. And I got it on backwards right now. Okay, so spin that around. Those wires in the back will always give you a hard time. And just fit it right over them bolts. If I get lined up close enough. Alright. Don't force anything so you're not popping any grommets out. Okay. Ow, ow. Dang it. I was kind of second guessing about putting the spikes on the ends of those things. I just stabbed myself in the thumb with one. I'm just going back, yeah. Go back, check your grommets and stuff, because I had one pop out here. Yeah, here's another one popped out. I'll go back and fix some of these. But this next part's going to be a little methodical for me, because I'm going to play with the heights and lengths of these sticking out. And I got to put a nut on it, torque it down, then put another nut on top of it to lock it in. So I'm going to end it there. I'll show you the finished product in the next video. Yeah, I thought those spikes would be a nice touch. My own personal touch. So anyhow, that's why you're in there. Please like and subscribe for more tips and how to build the 4.0. Alright, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.